Welcome to Study Week. What we're going to look at in Study Week is metaphors. This is going to help us build towards Intensive 2 in preparation for developing our own Passionate Creed, and then build on further into the Passionate Crest Assignment 2. Metaphors are wonderful ways in which we tell part of the story of ourselves, visually and orally, helping ourselves and others understand what we mean, how we react, and how we try and influence our perception of not only ourselves but the world around us. They're a simple yet powerful tool we can use to describe a multitude of things. I'm as strong as an ox. That was as hard as nails. Life is like a box of chocolates. They help us remember. They help us connect. Research actually has shown they influence the way we approach things. They influence the way we react to things. They develop our behavioural traits. What we think of ourselves in terms of metaphors actually has a strong influence and is reflected in how we act and behave. Therefore, a lot of research around teaching now concerns metaphors. For example, teaching is a journey. Teaching is about helping students blossom. My classroom is a zoo. It's a jungle, or it's a war zone. The bell's rung. I put down my cup of tea, I turn to my colleagues and say, well, off to fight in the trenches. All of these metaphors have positive and or negative connotations that we can apply to our perception, approach and connection to the teaching environment, the student, and our perception of our own ability and approach to teaching within the classroom context. Metaphors are a wonderful tool. They're a powerful tool. They can build us up, or they can pull us down. The role of teaching is one that many metaphors are attached to, and you're going to read about some of these in the Van Brumelen, Bowman and Yero readings. Ideas that you might connect to. Metaphors that might speak strongly to you. Teacher as gardener. Teacher as builder. Teacher as craftsman. Teacher as labourer. Teacher as manager or prophet. In fact, all of these metaphors can be found in the Bible. In particular, Paul speaks strongly of metaphors in regard to teaching in 1 Corinthians 3 verse 5 through to 4:21. So from a teaching perspective, again, they can be seen as very powerful influences on us, offering insight, negatively or positively, in how we're going to behave and act within the classroom setting, within the community setting, in our relationship with students, colleagues, and the wider context of our school. They're powerful self-voices. Do you view yourself as tiger, or do you view yourself as mouse? What do you see when you look in the mirror? Because the metaphor you see is the one how you'll act and behave. Another important factor to consider when it comes to metaphors is that of the student. What is their metaphorical perception of us? Do they see us as a jailer? Do they see us as a dictator? Do they see us as a programmer? Something that constricts, chains them up, makes them feel negatively about you? Or do they see you as a shepherd? Do they see you as a guide? Do they see you as a coach, an artist, a conductor, someone who's inspirational, who sets them free, who engages them in the learning process, who lets them be themselves? Do they see you as an explorer, someone who takes them on learning journeys to new places, exciting places, helps them learn new things and acquire new skills? That's what this week's about. It's about engaging with metaphors. It's about looking at what metaphors do you consider that will be important to you. It's about looking at metaphors and critiquing them. Do they offer a full enough explanation for us? For every positive when it comes to a negative, for every positive when it comes to a metaphor, are there also negatives? So the first two readings I want you to read are Van Brummelen and Bowman, both on teaching and metaphors. What do they tell us about teaching and metaphors? How do they describe teaching? Out of this, I'd like you to have a look at the forum. The forum is going to ask you to do two things. Firstly, to define what a metaphor is as an active teaching tool. What I mean there is, define it from a teacher-centric perception. What does a metaphor mean? How can a metaphor be used? How should a teacher approach a metaphor? I then want you to have a look at the major definitions or major metaphors that Van Brummelen uses. I want you to create a little table, and within that table I want you to have a look at the roles. Describe the role. Discuss what are the positives and negatives that you can see for this metaphor as a description for teaching. What worldviews does it strongly reflect? And if any, is there a biblical connection that you can make to the metaphor? Is there a scripture? Is there a parable? And then I want you to have a look at the Yarrow reading. This is going to help us, again, look at teaching metaphors, from the very small to the broad. The words, language, and places within teaching that metaphors can be applied, where they're used across the board, from various classroom contexts to the wider story and wider picture of teaching in its entirety. I then want you to do the final forum, which is a personal reflection on metaphors. What's the metaphor that sums you up? Is it one of the Van Brummelen ones? If so, explain why. If you disagree with all of them and have come up with a better one of your own, why have you chosen it and what is it? I'm excited to see what metaphor you think you are. The other things I'm going to do this study week is I'm going to reopen the forums for those of you who haven't completed them, so you get a chance to bring them up to date. I also want you to take some time out and have a break. Intensive and practicum are coming up, and that's really, really important, that you're rested and ready to go for that. Don't forget to get in touch with any queries that you have, either via email or on the Open Zone. I look forward to the journey that you're going to go on this week, and I look forward to touching base with you at intensive and then sharing the practicum journey with you. My journey's now ended, and I can sit here and say I look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks' time. Over and out.